The first Republican debate of the 2024 election just came to a close, and we're just going to recap some of it, so stay tuned.
Welcome back to the channel.
Welcome back to the True Brothers.
Today we're going to be talking about just going over some of the main topics that were discussed during the first round of the Republican debate.
Yeah, this is for the 2024 election. The Republicans just got off stage. We just got a whole lineup here of just different topics that they went over, and we have people that we think are the winners and losers, and we'll get into that. But
yeah, we're just going to try to break them down a little bit more and throw our opinions in there and who said some dumb stuff, who stood out, and go from there pretty much.
Yeah. So basically just starting at the top, it kind of just started the whole debate with Bidenomics, so Biden's economy. Basically the last roughly 3 years of the American economy, the world economy, decisions that he made. Then he gets in the welfare system. And by them, I mean, the two moderators is Fox News doing this. Talk about the welfare, and then they get into climate change, abortion, homelessness and drugs, guns, January 6th, Ukraine, China, the border and fentanyl, and then education is kind of where they leave things off at. And so just taking it from the top here, Bidenomics. Overall, who do you think was the winners and the losers of the entire debate? Not just Bidenomics, but I mean the entire debate.
So I didn't really like Nikki Haley. Scott Walker, who's that? Chris Christie, can't take advice from a fat person. Ron DeSantis, he had some good points. He's not as much as robot as I thought he was. He actually had some really good points in there. Yeah. Mike Pence, I don't really care for him. He's a boomer, but he also had some good points too. Asia Hutchison,
this guy comes out of nowhere, and he gets on stage with a Israeli-American flag.
Yeah.
Pin on his shirt.
So you can see where his alliances are too.
Yeah. I mean, the normal American struggle, these people are completely blinded to it. A lot of these topics are interesting that they get into, but the fact that he goes up there and everyone has their allegiances and their talking points, and Asia Hutchison, he can go screw himself with this whole Israeli flag thing.
Yeah, and I forget which one also didn't like the fact that he reached in his pocket and pulled out the pocket Constitution,
and
just certain things were just so cringe.
Yeah.
But I would say Vivek. Then probably I'd have to really think about it between Ron DeSantis and Mike Pence, who won, who was the second runner-up. But those are probably my top three.
I think a good way to describe this for people in our generation is, other than Vivek and maybe Ron DeSantis, everybody else was almost like some sort of NPC. Because they were just filled with talking points, so non-playable characters, as if you're in a video game, and there's just this banter back and forth, and it is just very, it's talking points, and it's just the way that they say it. You can see Mike Pence whenever he's talking to Vivek, and then as soon as they ask him a question, he sits back, and he starts reading off of something inside of his head, and that's most of the conversation. And sadly, this has been the Republican Party. Basically, without Trump, this is who we're stuck with.
Yeah, both Pence and Vivek live in completely different worlds.
Yeah.
Mike Pence lives where I think he mentioned in there, what did he say about America? He still thinks that, fear God. And the guy that we're listening to, he's this guy lives in Good morning. What did he say? Good morning.
Good morning, America.
Yeah, he lives so outside. He has no idea what's That's why I like about Vivek. He's younger and he actually knows what's going on in the present day with the youth.
And people like Kennedy and Vivek actually go on people's podcasts and are actually involved in the millennial and Zoomer and Generation Alpha culture.
Yeah.
All of the rest of the people have their advisors, and they are and they keep on harkening back to this, the Reagan era. We got to destroy the communist Russians. And then Vivek, he has to come out there and tell these people the Soviet Union was communist and it collapsed in the 90s.
Yeah.
Why are we still calling them Putin's not a communist.
Mm-mm.
Roughly, he's against that sort of Judeo-atheistic Soviet Union that existed for the time. The sort of nationalist Russian Orthodox empire that's basically growing now is completely different then. So a lot of these boomers, they are relying, is just a bunch of charlatans for the most part, because a lot of the Republicans, most of them other than like Vivek and maybe DeSantis, because DeSantis, he earned a little bit of respect from me just because he actually didn't seem like he was just filled with talking points.
The one point I loved what he said, he was like, does everyone got their script talking points out of the way? He's like, okay, let's have a real conversation.
Yeah.
Which was nice.
And
I that's why I love him. Trump did very similar things. So he is like the Indian version of Trump. But that's why if there was no Trump, I'd probably be voting for him.
Yeah, I agree. But whenever you have people like Mike Pence, he is the most annoying. He's a person I really never liked Nimrata Haley, her actual Indian name.
Yeah.
Because she's just been like a UN Israeli shill for as far as going back as long as she's been in politics that I've been paying attention to. That's the corners that she's been in. She's, like most women, I feel like just filled with like the talking points, and you can't really go off a script, in her situation.
Yeah, she said some dumb things out there. I forget what the one was about. If you want something to be said, ask a man. If you want something done, ask a woman.
Yeah, and that's she's repeated that over and over again. Her big thing is she is the female. She is the Republican Hillary Clinton is basically what she's running on. Mm-hmm. But she's not maybe as corrupt or something like that. But anyways, just moving on. Mike Pence, I see him as like leading the rest of these crazies.
Yeah, he probably wouldn't have done bad in, I don't know, the 70s?
Yeah, like I think it would have made sense if he was like around because he obviously loves Reagan.
Yeah.
And like he thinks we're still in the Cold War.
He mentioned about putting his hand on Reagan's Bible, whatever that means.
Put my hand on Reagan's Bible, but whenever they asked him about God, it's like he like took a step back and had to like go into his like programming of like I gotta now appeal to the evangelicals. Like people like him are very strategic and they know who their audience is and things like that. And they know as soon as he says Israel, there's a bunch of the evangelicals and the Jews are gonna just start jumping for joy. As soon as he says the Constitution, you're gonna get your Tea Party Republicans jumping in the air. So he knows the game.
Now, do you think DeSantis ran off any script?
I think that he might have, but I think that he was actually way more authentic than the rest, other than Vivek.
Yeah. So we agree on both of those.
Yeah.
So what do we want to talk about? We already did Bidenomics. Let's talk about the one point was welfare.
Yeah, well, no, because they were talking about sending more money to Ukraine.
Yeah.
And so
another $4 trillion or something like that.
Our point is that these people in these circles think that is actually like the most pressing thing. Meanwhile, like I drive to work, or I ride my bike to work every once in a while. Sometimes I drive. We're not that far from the downtown Pittsburgh area. A dude hanging from his neck from the bridge. That was a couple months ago. Middle of the day, dude just dead, hanging from the bridge. A house blew up last week. Huge crater. Just a few minutes from the downtown. Maybe like 10, 15 minutes from the downtown. Huge crater, destroyed, burnt down the buildings around it, nothing left. Shattered the windows of, this is like the standard of living that is starting to enter into our lives.
It actually gets it's getting to a point where if someone said, yeah, there's someone just went downtown and just shot up 100 people, I'd be like, oh, that's normal.
Well, and that's what I was going to say.
Everything's normalizing.
Yesterday, I'm at work and downtown, and somebody that I work with, in his neighborhood, there was a house that was for sale, and somebody bought it, and they went to go show up, and there's somebody squatting in it. So somebody's living in there, a homeless person. It ends up looking to be a veteran, and the guy shows up to see the house that he bought, and this homeless veteran had like an arsenal of weapons and ammunition in there. And then you hear on the news, they were like talking to people in the street. They are in a complete and utter shootout with this guy. Thousands of rounds, no exaggeration. It literally sounds like a war zone. And it's just like a normal day as an American. this is the standard of living. And then you get people like Pence, literally everybody else. Chris Christie and Pence are basically like, those two might as well just run for president together. They're the same exact opinions. Scott Walker, similar boat for the most part. Nikki Haley as well. They just want to send more money overseas. And whenever, Vivek basically interrupts and says, no, we need to send it to our southern border, then you get Pence going, we can do two things at once.
Yeah.
We haven't successfully done anything. And that's what, like, people like him, if they understand this, the sin involved, like the betrayal of the millions of American people. We didn't win Vietnam. Korea is obviously still a problem.
Yep.
Iraq, Afghanistan, now Ukraine. We are not winning there, and we're not winning here. But there are people like Raytheon and BlackRock and these sort
Vanguard.
of Vanguard, these specific companies that are the ones winning. They're the only ones winning. And that's what makes me mad about these politicians.
Yeah, the other thing you can add too is, so we're sending all this money, yet like my vehicle is getting destroyed by the amount of potholes everywhere. It's like every time I think about it, where's my tax money going?
Yeah.
And I have no choice, and it goes to Ukraine. Meanwhile, like, you can't even fix the roads going from here to work. Just terrible.
Yeah, like
Simple things like that.
I was just in Ireland. They use a different material for their roads. There's not one pothole in that entire area of Dublin and the surrounding area that my fiance and we could not find one pothole, one crack in the road. And then you come over here and it's just endless construction in some areas and then just endless potholes in the others. Constantly. As soon as that one area is fixed, they go fix up the other. While what they just spent, cheap material on the roads is then going to immediately start to decay.
Yeah.
And the standard of American living is in a complete and utter decline.
Meanwhile, we're saying,
and we're just basically just getting used to it. Yeah. Anyways, getting into the next topics. Yeah, homelessness, drugs. We know people that have died from drugs. It's getting, and we're not even in like the lower classes for the most part. Been middle class our whole lives, and we know countless people. Literally, we just lose track of how many people have died from either suicide or drugs.
A year, yeah. I couldn't imagine the lower class. They probably lose a handful of people.
Yeah, every month or something. I don't even know. Ride my, beautiful bike trails and everything around the city here. Homeless tents.
Smells like
They'll
weed,
come through.
poop, and urine.
Yeah, the cops went through last year, got rid of them all. They're starting to come back.
Of course.
It is what it is. That's just our priorities are not. We're just not a serious country. Then January 6th. If people want to talk about January 6th, this is a big part of the debate. People on the American First side, which I argue is roughly 50% of the conservative Republicans, don't give a damn about January 6th. I don't give a damn about January 6th. I think it would have been better if Trump honestly just forced himself to be long-term president.
Yeah.
Things...
It actually would have been great.
And then the thing is, if you disagree with that...
just look at what's happening now.
Yeah, like, you want to play by the rules. The left doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to lose.
They're playing a whole different game.
Yeah, they're playing because if they can cheat, and you're going to sit there in any game, if the opponent can cheat, and get away with whatever they get away with, and you're just going to sit there. I mean, at what point are you going to actually stand up for yourself? I mean, it's unfortunate, but a lot of the boomers are stuck in the same mindset. Whenever you have like so much of a reliance on your country's system for 20, 30 years. I mean, I think we're kind of fortunate to see this. I mean, I was a hardcore patriot whenever I was in my late teens, early 20s in the military and everything like that. Best country in the world. We can just blow up anybody. Then I start to see the moral issues in that, and then so we've been doing some immoral stuff for a long time. So we rig every election in every single country, but ours isn't rigged.
Yeah,
like the CIA in places. Politicians and everything, we basically brag about how we can control all these republics, but yet the American people think that our system is perfectly fine in a world of immense propaganda. It just gets you to think. But yeah, anything more about the January 6th, the Constitution?
No, like I said, I don't really care about it.
Yeah, I mean, what's the point of a Constitution if you're literally losing your country?
Mm-hmm.
The Constitution has led us to the point where the generation that's just been born, I believe, is going to be a minority white. European, minority ethnic European. What good has the Constitution done us? Until now,
Nothing.
where the people that have started this country within a couple hundred years are not the people that are going to be in the country and running it.
Pretty much. You
So-
skipped over a few here. Climate change.
Oh yeah, they talked about how Vivek. I believe in environmental destruction. Obviously, whenever you just walk around and there's garbage littering the streets.
Mhm. But that's not the big stuff that's doing it, though.
Yeah, but that's the
It's
stuff that I
giant
care more
factories
about.
and, yeah, corporations and stuff that are just. I mean, we have to clean our shit up over here, but like India and China and I think those are the big two right there.
Yep.
They need. I think they're doing most of the damage to the world. But we sat here and talked about it. Like, people think that the world's not going to change at all. It's been changing all the time.
Yeah, like there's been ice ages before vehicles
Yeah.
were created. People weren't cutting down millions and all the trees weren't cut down to make the ice
Yeah.
age. The ice age, the Earth just does.
Just does
Nature
its own
does what
thing.
nature does. Like I'd bring this up. 1,000 years ago, England made some of the best wine in the Middle Ages.
Mhm.
That's because the climate was a lot warmer in some of the northern areas. Over the last 500 years or so, there was at least a bit of a cooling, and now we're just kind of going back to how it was. And so, I'm not totally convinced that me driving my car is contributing to like the end of the world.
No.
Now the corporations down in the Amazon cutting down,
Yep. To put in farms and stuff.
those people need to be taken care of.
Yeah,
But-
when you're destroying the giant ecosystems like that, that's where climate change has the potential to change, like with human.
Yeah. But like the climate change agenda, because it is an agenda, should not turn around and tax me extra.
Mhm.
Because we get taxed extra for living in the city
Yeah.
on our vehicles. We have to
Yep.
get a whole emissions
Emission,
thing,
yeah.
and it's like that's gonna solve the climate change is me now just paying more taxes.
It actually hurts. What they say? Who was the one that? Which one of them?
Yeah, Vivek said that the climate change is just a wet blanket on our economy, just keeping things down.
Well, he also. I don't know if it was him or someone else said. Something about the policies that are put in for climate change actually hurt us more than the
Yeah.
actual climate change.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And then you skipped over abortion.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm skipping
It's a
all
big
over some
one.
stuff here. They talked about abortion. People like Nikki Haley are perfectly fine, and she kind of talked about this. Wants to give contraceptives to everybody.
Which is like putting a band-aid on a huge problem, like a huge cut, I guess, and like it's not going to fix the issue. I mean, I guess it's starting somewhere, but if you're a moral person, that's not the route to go at all.
Yeah, like putting all women on birth control, and then like everyone that they kiss is now they excrete estrogen
Yeah.
at that point, and
Estrogen gets in the
It's in the
water,
water,
it gets in, yeah,
and
it's
any
in
sort of
saliva, any
interaction
secretion
between-
that the woman has. So that the problem is she wants that for the women, but yet it's just going to hurt them in the end.
it just hurts everybody
Yeah.
in the end. Yeah. So people like her are trying to take a step back from the abortion debate, and this is like where at least Pence and who else, Scott Walker,
DeSantis, I'm pretty sure too.
are saying we basically need to make abortion completely gone,
Yeah.
illegal, and that's the one area that I actually agree with someone like Pence is we need to force anti-abortion on basically the world, but starting with America, forcing the states, because if you can't even unite the United States of America around we should not kill our own people, what are we united around?
Nothing.
A tax code, we share a similar location on a grid. If you can't unite around that, then
I mean, you can't
It's
even.
pointless.
That's the thing. Once I find out that someone's actually for abortion, my conversations with them go to how's it going? Okay, cool. And there's nothing. We have nothing in common because we can't even have the base. I don't even know
if
what
you can't
wanna
agree
call
that
it.
life is sacred,
Then we're not going to agree on anything.
yeah.
It's not even worth having a conversation.
You're just having a conversation with somebody worse than a pagan. I mean, a pagan at least made human sacrifices for a spiritual cause.
Mhm.
These people are just worshiping themselves by
Yeah.
either wanting to fit in, be like, oh yeah, I'm pro-choice, sleep with me, like the feminist men, and then the women that just want to sleep around, So
Yeah.
that's the crowd. Basically, history's most degenerate species or group,
Mhm.
political group. Is that, and so I'm not looking to satisfy that. Basically, we need to force those people to live a very specific way. And I think that's where like the America First movement will, I think, eventually lead. Is we now need to first we need to win, and then we need to wield power to make people believe what we believe, or at least live the way that because we have the proper way of living. I know that everyone thinks that. I used to be more of a libertarian until you're just a libertarian. You just lose all the time, and the left just pushes their ways on you. Eventually, the right will need to wake up. It probably won't happen until all the boomers are dead, because the boomers are way too stuck in small government. Just give me my Walmart and my guns and whatever. U.S. military, blow up people so we can put BlackRock over there. And
your typical boomer.
yeah, just once that generation's gone, then I think we can move more towards some actual America First conservatives. But yeah, I don't know. It's a conversation. We'll see. Talked about Ukraine, China, border, fentanyl.
Yeah, what we're doing with Ukraine, I don't know, did we mention that? All we're doing is, okay, we're taking money from America, and we're also forcing the Russia/China alliance more and more stronger.
Yeah, not only that, but we're Ukrainian.
Yeah.
Ethnically Ukrainian. People like Pence said that he is not willing to spend U.S. troops, at least yet, but he's willing to fight until every single Ukrainian. He didn't exactly say it like that, but he's willing. Him and people like Chris Christie, Mike Pence, are willing to destroy Ukraine in order to teach Russia a lesson. And I mean, Mike Pence, for all how he tries to act all Christian and stuff, really, it does surprise me a bit, because I used to really think like, oh, this is a great devout man. He was Catholic, but then he became an apostate, left the faith, joined some sort of, you can tell his evangelical, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ saved me, and just how the Protestants talk.
The only two that actually raised their hands was DeSantis and Vivek. DeSantis has a good point where he would agree, I think, to send money to Ukraine as long as Europe pays their dues. Because we're the only ones dumping money to Ukraine. Europe hasn't. I mean, I don't want to speak false here, but I'm pretty sure Europe hasn't given any money. So it's like, why are we paying for it? Maybe if they match us, it'd be equal. And then Vivek said, no, let's send the money down to the border to protect us. Yeah, which we should. I mean, could you imagine what $4 trillion would do to the border of Mexico?
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And so then, that gets into the border and, the education system. Vivek is actually for school choice, which I'm more of a side of him. He thinks that there needs to be new rules on citizenship, who is a citizen, and things like that. That's where I think that he goes beyond Trump in a good way of, like, he's bringing it to the next set of conversations. Not everyone should be a citizen. Not everyone should be voting. Mm-hmm. And he at least wants to start to have that conversation, whereas people like Trump even aren't willing to go there. He knows he might lose some people, but Vivek at least. I mean, it's illogical to think that a homeless person and, let's just say, a doctor have like the same opinion, or like have the same vote. I mean, and then that's some sort of equal, and that's justice and everything.
Yeah, I don't know how that's possible.
So just like the democratic process, I think in general is weak. People like Aristotle and Plato made fun of the way even like the Greeks did it, which is way stricter than we have. But then to just expand it on the continent-sized, trying to get every single breathing human being to vote is the biggest joke of a system that you could even conceive of.
Yeah, because you imagine even like a homeless dude that owns absolutely nothing, choosing the person to run the country, and he's not going to take any, he's not going to take anything that he says because he's just going to still live the same way. You know what I mean? Like a homeless person literally is just a vote. I mean, he owns nothing. I don't even think, like, us, we should be owning it. Like, we should even vote because, especially me, I don't own anything. Like, you own a house and some...
Yeah, but the other problem is, like, just because I own something, like, just because I have a house, what do I know about, like, U.S.'s trade policies and
but you would be,
CIA
you would be
telling
more
the president?
Ideal to vote than a homeless person.
If you're talking about, like, local elections, where I've shaken the hand with the people running, but, like, where everyone is just set behind a television, and which is owned by just a couple different people and a couple different companies, and we're told what to basically believe about these people. complete and utter joke of the American system. But
Yeah, I've changed that type of view over the years. Like, I don't think people like us should be voting at all because we don't know what the heck's even going on out there.
yeah, we should vote for like, okay, should Pittsburgh create like basically like a police force that like gets rid of illegals and like homeless people,
Mhm.
like little things like that we actually can see the result of.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically it. Oh yeah, not to mention Scott Walker mentioned Judeo-Christian. I forgot about that part.
And
And then
Christie
the Asia
backed
guy.
him up.
Yeah, Christie backed him up. Asia Walker obviously had the pin. The whole Judeo-Christian thing. That is a thing of the boomer generation. People in our generation, if they even know what that means, don't care.
yeah.
Or even, most people don't even know, but the rest don't even care. It's Christian civilization that we came from. The Judeo is just tacked on near the end by, because to include people like Freud for like destroying everybody's psychology and thinking that everything's some sort of sexual disorder, and people like Einstein to create like the weapon that's now, could destroy the entire planet. A lot of influences like that, modern historians tack on the whole Judeo part.
They try to take some credit for the world that we've built.
Yeah, so you have Christians that build it, and then, somebody else puts their name on the paper, on the test you take.
Yeah.
You do all this work, someone else puts their name on the top, gets all the credit, and then, like, burns the paper in the end. Something like that, but, yeah, it's a joke. This is what you get if you don't have Trump. Like, if we didn't have Trump that pointed out all the flaws in the system, you would get people like Pence, Christie, that are just these talking point shills. They take pilgrimages to Israel and Ukraine, shake hands with Zelensky.
And Christie
Netanyahu.
said that, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the Republican Party. Like, you kidding me? Like, no wonder, like, Kennedy did good. The first, the Kennedy president. Because the Republican Party, whenever it operates like this, it's obvious that they are just the party of the rich. However, modern politics, the Democrats also have a lot of rich people running, and they have all their agreements with like Big Pharma and groups like that, whereas Republicans are just showing that they're warmongers. Basically, they have it in with the military-industrial complex, big oil. So you basically just have the Democrats and the Republicans. It's just which huge monopolies own them.
Yeah.
And that's who you get basically without Trump, without Vivek, without Kennedy. So
win to Vivek for sure.
yeah, I think Vivek won that, even though Nikki Haley and Mike Pence might have gotten a couple of zingers on him. And his Indian temperament wasn't able to kind of
he just kind of
blow
got ran
through.
over a little bit, but yeah, he just needs to be less soft-spoken.
I think his ideas are better than Trump, but his personality is.
Oh yeah,
he's
Trump.
not there yet.
Trump would have ran that freaking room in there.
Yeah, but he didn't need to. And
Yeah.
that's an alpha move.
Yeah, it's true. He's an alpha.
Yep, so that's pretty much everything. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Comment, and let us know who you think won the debate. What do you think are some issues that need more talked about? Let us know how you think we did on our interpretation, our summary, our opinions here.
Check out
some of
our top 3 videos. Top Pipe Tobaccos of 2022. Bag End by Country Squire. Second Breakfast by Country Squire. Also check out, we have a video that's been just taken off. It's why you should smoke. Why young people should smoke.
Pipe tobacco.
Pipe tobacco.
But yeah, if you're new to this channel, we do things like this is like our very first political kind of video. But we started this channel with a lot of brewing, alcohol, basically all types of alcohol, beer, wine, mead, maybe spirits.
Yeah, spirits. I think that, yeah. Yeah,
but and then like a lot of pipe tobacco. We're gonna be doing more outdoor stuff, gym stuff. Yeah, it's just kind of like a whatever channel. But
Like,
yeah, make sure to
how
like,
to.
comment, subscribe. Yeah.
All right.
Follow us on Instagram, The True Brothers, as well. Peace.